Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over how I set up all of my camera bags for 2025. Hi everyone, thanks again for tuning into this week's video. Got a couple of things I just want to mention really quickly. The first is that this is probably going to be a very long video and obviously very gear focused. So I'm going to be adding in some time codes on screen. So if you want to skip around and kind of see what might be most relevant to you, you can do that. That way you don't have to watch the whole video unless you want to. So the first setup that I will have is going to be with this bag here. This is going to be kind of like my travel setup if I'm going on a trip, if I'm doing like a weekend trip, even like a day trip or something, and I need to carry around some more gear. So it's going to be with this bag, and that time code will be here. The next setup that I'm going to be going over is a very minimal setup. It's just going to be with this small bag here, and this is going to be great for just like, you know, bopping out, quick day trip or something like that. But again, really minimal, easy setup, and that time code will be here. And last but not least is going to be kind of a middle ground. And so that's going to be with this bag here. And this is kind of like my everyday carry setup. So if you want to see some things about like my EDC setup, that's going to have some things that aren't strictly photography related. That's going to be this bag, and that time code will be here. And the last thing that I want to mention is that this is not a sponsored video at all. None of these products were sent to me. All of these were bought and paid for by myself. I make absolutely zero money from any of my YouTube videos. I haven't even crossed the point where I can monetize my videos yet. Hopefully that's coming soon, but again, so far I make no money off of these videos. I wanted to mention that because obviously some brands are going to feature kind of heavily in this video, and that's just because I personally like them. It is not because I'm being paid for any kind of review or sponsorship or product promotion, anything like that. Now, if you want to help out the channel, I do have some Amazon affiliate links down below. If there's anything in this video that you found that you like and you want to pick up for yourself, using those links down below, there's no additional cost to you, but it helps me to get a bit of a commission off of that. So that's a great way to help out the channel. But if you don't want to spend any money at all, the only thing that I ask is that you consider subscribing. If you haven't already, that is the best way to help out my channel. Anyway, with all of that out of the way, let's get into the first bag setup. All right, starting off, we have this. So this is the Peak Design Everyday Backpack, the 30-liter version. They have a 20-liter version as well if you want something a little bit smaller. This is my go-to backpack for if I'm doing any traveling, or if I'm doing like a hiking adventure, or if I'm going out somewhere it's more like a day trip or like a weekend trip. This is generally the backpack that I'm taking with me. The thing that I really like about this is just the compartmentalization and the customization that this has. So let me kind of walk you through this a little bit. So first off, over on this side, you have these nice zippers that kind of will go the whole length of the bag. And here I've got both my camera, which is the Hasselblad X2D Earth Explorer Edition. I've got one lens up here, which is the 28p, which fell out, but that just goes right up there. Down here on the side of the cover, it also has some pockets. So here, for example, I've got like my passport if I'm again traveling or anything like that. And then down in this pocket here, I've got a Earth filter kit. So this has a polarizer filter, a UV filter, two ND filters, an ND8 and an ND1000. So I like this, just that this is really compact. I can just kind of unscrew this and grab whichever filter I need to throw on the lens. I don't really use filters that often in my photography, but the times that you need it, it's nice to have it. All right, coming around to the other side. On this side here, it's a little bit of a mess, but I've got cables, I've got chargers and stuff like that. I honestly mostly just use the Apple chargers. I just have so many of these at this point that these are kind of what I bring. Pretty much everything that I use uses USB-C now, which is great. But because I already have a bunch of these are just the easiest kind of like, you know, things to carry with. I also have in here, this is actually from Peak Design, the little carry case thing, but I found that it works really well for the Insta360 Go 3 camera that I have. So I've got that in here as well as the lanyard. So you can pop this guy out here, the camera, attach that to the magnet, and then that's what you'll see a lot of times in other videos where I have this kind of around my neck. You'll see that kind of POV from my chest if I'm doing like a walking kind of vlog. Going down to the middle here, so I have a couple things in here. First of all, I have a power bank. So this one I really like for travel in particular because this is actually solar powered. So this is great if I'm out somewhere that I don't know that I can get a reliable connection or that I don't have the right adapter for. I can just leave this in the sun for a while and it will actually charge it. It also has a flashlight on the end of it. It's got a little carabiner, which is nice. And this is plenty of power to charge my phone, my cameras, whatever I need. And again, at least let me along through the day until I can get back to like a hotel or somewhere that I'm at that I'll be able to actually plug in all my gear. So I really like this thing. It's pretty tough. It's durable. I thankfully haven't like really dropped it. But again, power bank, just nice to have. Additionally in here, I've also got a couple straps. So this one is the Peak Design cuff. That one I kind of like to just have if I'm like wandering around and I know I'm going to have my camera in my hand, just something to kind of help secure it around my wrist. And then this one is one that I use a bunch. This is from Clever Supply Company. I really like this. It is full leather. It has a really nice look to it. It's nice and sturdy, so I don't have any worries about the camera weight or anything like that. But yeah, got a couple different straps for on the camera depending on if I want something that is a little bit larger to go around like my neck or my shoulder, or if I'm just gonna carry it by hand. Also in here, I've got this really cool water bottle that I just picked up not too long ago. So this is the Mimo Bottle A6. I like this thing a lot because it's flat. It's more of like a flask style water bottle. So this just helps. I think it's easier to kind of put into a backpack, slide into a bag, and it's a little bit more minimal versus like a rounded water bottle that kind of takes up a little bit more space. This is, I think, 16 ounces of water. So again, plenty for if you just need some water for like the day, even like a small hike. This is really nice. The one downside about this bottle that I want to mention though is that it is not insulated. So if you have anything cold or hot, that will radiate through the metal on this really easily. So keep that in mind if you're tossing it into a bag. If it's cold, water can condensate around the sides of this and potentially damage any electronic equipment that you have it up against. So be aware of that. Or if it's hot, it can get very hot and again, also cause some damage. So I really like this thing, but just want to caution you against, I really would not put like hot beverages in here like coffee or tea, and just be cautious if you're putting really cold water in here also that it might start to condense around the sides. But otherwise, this is a great thing. The alternate that I would have to that also is just this bottle that I got from National Geographic when I did their expedition to Morocco. This would often just go in like one of the side pockets here, like that. But it does take up a little bit more space. Obviously it can go in the bag too, but again, nicer just to have it on the side there. But this is kind of a backup water bottle if the other one doesn't work for whatever reason. This one is insulated also too, which is nice. And then finally down here, I've got the my big lens, the like one of two zoom lenses that Hasselblad makes. So this is the 35-75 XCD lens. This was the first lens that I got for the X2D when I purchased that camera. I really like it a lot. It is unfortunately the older style of lens from Hasselblad, so the autofocus is not quite as quick and it doesn't have all the design features as the new XCD lenses. But if I don't know kind of what conditions I'm going to be in for the day, again, particularly for like a travel environment, I pretty much always have this lens with me. It is big, it is heavy, but with it being a zoom lens, I know that I have a higher chance to get the shot that I'm after than having a prime lens and not being able to get as close or as far away from the subject as I need to. Oh yeah, and then we do have, again, pockets on the side, like we did before. Down here, I actually just have like a deck of cards. I pretty much always have a deck of cards on me. If you're waiting in an airport, it's great. You don't have to worry about using a battery on your phone to play games or something. And it's a social thing. I mean, pretty much everyone knows at least one game with cards, right? So I just tend to always have a deck of cards with me. Okay, so moving over to the main two compartments. So up top here, I really like this kind of flap design. It's got these ratchets here, so you don't always have to have it fully closed, but it does lock into place really nicely. You can kind of adjust this, so if you need to have like a jacket or something underneath there, it's just nice and adjustable. But otherwise, this is another opening for the main compartment of the bag. Again, pretty much everything that I had access to before from those side zips up on top, I have access to here. But I've got the Insta360 X4, so the 360 camera, Again, if you're traveling, it's just kind of a fun camera to have. I don't really seriously use this camera very much, but there have been a couple things, like I did some really fun long exposure videos, some time-lapse videos when I was in Morocco, so I just like having this one too. In here, this is the case for the Osmo Pocket 3, which I'm filming on right now, so I don't have it in here, but this is kind of my stand-in to just show like that I also would keep that camera in here as well. Got a power adapter, so again, when I was in Morocco and Europe and stuff like that, this is great. This is kind of one plug. It has 2 USB-Cs and 2 USB-As on here, as well as kind of your standard plugs out front. And then the nice thing is that you can kind of pick and choose whichever plug you need. So it's got both the US and Australia, it has UK plug, and it has the EU standard plug. So this is a really nice one to have. This was just like an Amazon special. Nice and cheap, but really useful, again, if you're traveling overseas and you want to make sure that you can still plug in all of your electronics. Otherwise, just a little tripod. So this is the one that I got for the Osmo Pocket 3 specifically. So it's really tiny. Whoa. So it's really tiny, it's lightweight. The other tripod that I would be bringing with for like the small video cameras I'm filming on right now, so that's why I don't have it. And speaking of tripods, I also do have this one from Peak Design also. This is their aluminum tripod. I really like this tripod a lot. It has done very, very well for me. I love the compact design of it. It slides into the side pockets on the outside of the bags here very, very easily. Obviously, it's all Peak Design, so it's very much designed to work together, and I think that they do a really good job of that. I tend to like products that have kind of a well-designed ecosystem of things that work well together. So again, I have an Apple Watch, I have an iPhone, the Peak Design tripod with the bag, and then the slings, and then their capture, so you can slide the camera on and off of that. It just seems to work well for me. I really like this tripod. I don't use tripods a ton other than in video making. So for like my photography, I don't really use tripods all that much. I bring that up to say that's why I got the aluminum tripod. I personally just couldn't really justify the spend of getting the carbon fiber tripod. While it's great and it does save you a bit of weight, it's like double the price. So if you are someone that uses tripods a lot in your work, if you do a lot of like landscape photography and you're always busting on a tripod, maybe that's worth it to save half of a pound. But I don't use them as much, and while this did come with me to Morocco, I don't always bring this on like travel things unless I know that I'm going to be trying to set up shots that might be a longer exposure or something specific. But this is another item that I will often have with me, that will often go just in the suitcase if I'm doing like a checked bag and I don't really need it with me on the airplane. Otherwise, just goes right in the case, slides down on the side here, and you're good to go. And then last but not least on this bag, we have this kind of back compartment here. So in here I have my iPad. I have just a little notebook with a pen, got spare batteries for my camera. And then sometimes in here I'll also, again, toss in some like cables or something like that if I need to. So the nice thing is that this compartment is big enough to hold a full laptop. But again, really, I do most of my work, most of my editing actually on my iPad. So that's what I've got in here. Oh, and then I actually forgot, in this main component here to this little pocket up here, I have my headphones. So these are my earbuds. These are from Bang & Olufsen. I really like these a lot. They are expensive, but they have amazing sound quality. So this is a really nice pocket, again, for headphones or extra batteries. I've also used it for that as well, but that goes there too. So a couple of things I want to point out too, if I'm traveling, again, I don't necessarily have all of this on my back at all times. If I'm going to be at a hotel where I know I can kind of drop things off, again, like I'm not going to carry on my iPad as an example, or I won't carry necessarily all of the lenses. So when I went to Morocco, for example, I had this bag as kind of my main carry bag for everything. However, if we were just doing like a quick excursion or something for the day, part of the day that I knew I could go back to the hotel and change things out if I needed to, then I did also bring this sling as well. This is the Peak Design Everyday Sling. This is the 6-liter version. They have a 3, a 6, and a 10. This is the 6-liter. And this was really great to be able to store my camera, like one additional lens, and then my video stuff. So this is a very competent sling. I like this a lot, and we'll get into how I set this up a little bit later on also. And then just wanted to quickly show too on the front of the bag here, I've got the Peak Design capture clip. So can take our camera with the base plate and just slide this on here, And that is a really nice way to carry my camera in a secure way on the strap. If this is on me, it's just right here on my chest. I can easily grab that. You'll probably have seen this in one of my videos from Morocco where I was up on a camel, and that was kind of how I was carrying my camera with me at that point. But this is really nice, just easy to slide on and off. And this is very minimal and unobtrusive, so I just kind of tend to keep that on the strap for if I need. The other thing too that's nice is that these straps, as you saw, have a magnet on them. So it kind of stays in place for if you need to carry it by these handles or the handle up on top, your straps aren't flying all over the place. If anyone's curious, this is just some paracord. This is actually wilderness survival cord or something that's called. So a little bit different from your standard 550 cord. This actually has a waxed jute fishing line and a couple other things actually within the strand. So again, more for like hiking or day trips out into the forest. This maybe not so much for like traveling, but it's there as well. So got that on the strap in case I need some cord or if I need to start a fire or something like that really quickly. All right, so that's kind of the travel setup. But again, for like, you know, weekend trips or going out hiking out in the forest somewhere, there are a couple of things that might kind of swap in and out. So again, might bring the tripod, may not. So if I want to shoot film, again, this is my Hasselblad 500 CM. I really like this camera a lot, but if I'm shooting film, most of the time I'm shooting 120 film. If I'm shooting like 35, then I'll go get like my Minolta or my Nikon or something like that. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see some videos on my other camera gear, the film camera gear in particular. But anyway, so rather than, you know, bringing in like the large battery pack or a bunch of different lenses, then maybe I'll swap some of that out for tossing this in here too. Or the 907X also from Hasselblad. So again, these are kind of my three main cameras that I shoot the most often with. Again, the X2D being my primary camera, the 500cm being my kind of primary film camera, and then the 907X is great because again, I can take off the back here, swap that on and make this a digital camera in a way. I've got a whole video about how to do that also on this channel if you want to check that out. And then on here too right now, I've got the Peak Design leash in Coyote. So if you're curious about what strap that is, Peak Design. Last thing too, for the film camera, if I am, a lot of times for like exposure readings, I honestly will just rely on my phone. It's just easier and quicker just to kind of pull that in and out. Otherwise, I do have a light meter as well if I need to. So if I want a more accurate reading for the light, I will use this. So if I'm bringing out a film camera like this one that doesn't have a built-in light meter, then I'll also toss this in my bag too. Okay, so that is kind of how I set up my my bag again for if I'm doing travel or longer trips or like hikes in the woods or something like that. The nice thing is that all of the compartments inside are all customizable. So let's go back to this side, take out our 28mm lens. But as you can see, I can readjust these depending on what I need access to. So if I want, I can pull this up and get my, my lens from the other side here. Can fold this down, make a little bit more room as for the compartment on the side. Fold these partially out. And then I've got a little shelf here for additional things that kind of still maintains a wall there too. And again, you can move these, take these in and out. I've got 3 of these right now, but you can reconfigure this however you want. It's all just, you know, Velcro inside. So really easy to reconfigure the bag to be kind of whatever setup you want, to be able to actually fit your gear in a way that it's not rattling around and, you know, possibly falling out like what you saw with the 28 lens when I first opened that up. Most of the time, if it's, you know, more upright, if I'm getting at it from a different angle, that's not really a concern. But again, yeah, you can reconfigure this kind of however you want, which is really nice and kind of one of the reasons why I like Peak Design bags in general. You'll see that with the other bag setup also. All right, so for my kind of more minimal carry setup, as an example, this is the setup that I used when I was in New York recently, where I kind of, you know, I had a hotel, I could stash all of my stuff. I'm not carrying on like an iPad and all of my gear. This was the setup that I was using for kind of wandering around the city and then doing like a photo walk or something like that. So this is the Peak Design 6-liter everyday sling. They've got a 3-liter, a 6-liter, and a 10-liter. In my opinion, the 3-liter is kind of too small for any like real camera equipment other than like a point and shoot or something really compact. The 6-liter does great. And then I also have the 10-liter for like my everyday carry, which we'll get into later on in the video. But this is a great, more minimalist setup. It's nice and compact. In the main compartment here, which expands quite nicely, as you can see, I've got my Camera, obviously, I got the X2D with the 55V lens on there, so full camera and lens configuration. I have in here the, well, the case for the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, which I'm filming on right now. This is kind of a stand-in just to represent that I have that in here and it can fit. And then I also have a secondary lens in here, so I've got the 28mm lens, so wider focal view, nice compact lens. But I've got that in there too. In the back, there's this little flap that opens up. So for example, I've got like a notebook and a pen in case I need that for whatever reason. And on the inside here too, got a zip compartment. I'll often have like a spare battery for the X2D if I know I'm gonna be out for kind of the whole day shooting. Just toss an extra battery in there. If you are someone that likes to carry extra memory cards, for example, that would be great to have in there too. I've got a cleaning cloth just, you know, for lens and stuff like that. And then another nice thing about these little compartments is these are actually really great to toss like an Apple AirTag in. So for all of my bags, I always have an Apple AirTag in them so that I can kind of keep track of things, which is just a nice to have. So that's another great thing to toss just in one of those compartments up there. In the front here, you've got this zipper across the front here, and I have a, what brand is this? It's a power bank. It is a INIU power bank. I just got this, but this is a 10,000 milliamp hour power bank. So this is really nice and compact, but it has a lot of juice to it. So again, if I need to recharge my iPad, my cameras, my phone, this will do it. So I've got that in a nice small form factor, and then just a cable for that if I need to, a USB-C cable. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it for a really minimal setup. I've got my camera, camera body and a lens, a spare lens. Got my video set up, you know, toss in the mics if I need to. Also, there'd be room for that. Little notebook, power bank, extra spare battery if I need to. But all that is a really nice, easy way to do a quick, you know, day trip, or if you're just out wandering around in the city and want to bring a camera along. Really great bag to have. The other nice thing about this too is the weather sealing on the zippers is very good. The reason why I know that is I was down in Georgia for a buddy's wedding, and it was kind of a motorcycle themed wedding. So we rode down, and when I was riding back up to North Carolina, I got absolutely dumped on with rain. It was pouring rain, and I went through some puddles that I basically was like fully submerged in water. And on my back, I had a duffel bag and this strapped to the duffel bag as well. So this was just out in the rain, getting rained on for a while, several hours. And this did great to protect my gear. So I'm not telling you to go and submerge the bag in a pool or a bucket of water or something like that. But the weather resistance on the zippers and everything on this, I am very, very happy with. I didn't intend on testing it as thoroughly as I did, but I did. And again, all of my gear was perfectly dry. I had no issues. The other nice thing about these bags is they come with these straps, and I have these just on the bottom here if I need them. In the past, I have actually strapped a water bottle here. So like when I was in Morocco, I just had a water bottle attached on the bottom, which was great. It was kind of out of the way, accessible if I needed it to be, but you can toss like a light jacket or something in here. But it's nice just to be able to kind of strap something to the bag that you don't necessarily need to have in the bag, right? Also, it's got these kind of, these straps on the side here, and they're very strong. So I have the capture clip on my backpack right now, not on this bag, but if you want to attach the capture clip onto the side of here, and then again, attach the camera there. This is a heavier camera than a lot of other ones that you would likely be carrying, and it does great with it. I have no problem. It's nice and thick. It's very rigid. So easy enough just to strap the camera on there. If you still want quick access to your camera, if you're walking around, but you just want to, you know, get it off your hands or something like that, no issue there. The only thing you do need to be worried about, obviously, is with the camera on the outside of like a sling bag is, you know, if it's strapped across your body and you turn or you're going around a corner, it can easily kind of, you know, swing out, hit a pole or, you know, a brick wall or something like that, and that would be a very bad day. But otherwise, you can attach the camera on the side there too, and then have some more space on the inside of your bag if you need. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it for, again, a very minimal setup. I don't know really what else you would need. You know, again, camera body, lens, spare lens, video, mic, battery. That's kind of it really. So yeah, so that does it for my very minimal setup. So again, if you're looking at something that is unobtrusive, that you can just kind of toss everything into a bag, grab and go if you're wandering around a city or going somewhere with some friends, like on a day trip, this is a really nice, easy way to do it. All right, and last but not least, this is the Peak Design 10-liter everyday sling, and this is my current everyday carry setup. So this can be a little bit different. If I was planning on doing something that was more photo specific, I might swap out a couple of things, but otherwise this is, again, kind of how I have my bag set up for every day. If I'm going to the store, if I'm going anywhere, doing really anything, this is what I have set up and what I will grab. So because of that, I have some things in here that you probably aren't expecting from like a photo setup, but I'll walk through why I have those and kind of go through again my everyday carry setup. I could probably do a whole separate video on everyday carry. So if you're interested in seeing that, let me know and I can make that in the future. I really like the Peak Design bags, as I mentioned in the previous two sections. Again, they're water resistant, very water resistant. They're customizable. They come with 2 of the dividers in there, which for the 6-liter sling, for like the more minimalist setup, I found to be a little bit too tight. You couldn't really get like a full camera in there with the 2 dividers. So I just took that out and had the 1, but in this, it works really well. So in the main compartment here, again, I've got some things in here that probably are a little surprising and I'll go through why. So if I'm just bopping out to the store or whatever, we'll probably have the 907X just because it's a small form factor camera. It's kind of fun. We've got the 45p lens on there, which is, you know, roughly a 35 to a 38 millimeter lens. Got the Peak Design leash on here in Coyote. So this is kind of like if I don't know that I'm going to be like really taking photos, but I want to have a camera on me, then I'll have this. Again, if I'm looking at doing something more photo specific, I will easily swap that out with, you know, the X2D. I can rearrange some things in here and get that in there. Or if I'm going out with friends or something, even like the Leica Sofort 2 is just a really fun camera to shoot on for those instant photos that I can print out. So kind of swap out any one of these cameras for like the everyday carry depending on what I'm doing. So again, if it's gonna be kind of a fun, just quirky day with friends, this will be a great camera to have. If it's, you know, I want to have a camera on me that's better than my phone, but I don't really expect to do anything, then I'll probably have the 907X. And if I am expecting to actually like, you know, be out and shooting photos for the day, then I'll grab the X2D. As I've mentioned in previous videos, the 55mm lens for the X2D is my go-to. So this is the one that is going to be strapped to the camera most often. But again, depending on what I need to do or what I'm expecting on doing, I'll swap out one of the other lenses. Similarly, the 45p, this is actually the lens that this camera came with. It was like a full kit when I bought this. This is the CFV 50. So this is the 50 megapixel back, not the newer 100 megapixel back. But again, this was the lens that came with it. And it works very well actually with this kind of setup. It's a smaller compact lens. I find that the 28p, if I don't really expect to be shooting a wide angle scene or something, is a little too wide for my liking, but this fits very nicely on here. To be honest too, just the design of this camera is often a conversation starter. So if I'm out somewhere and I'm shooting something on this, I will very regularly have someone come up to me and be like, what kind of camera is that? You know, that looks like one of those old cameras, but it's too small. And so it's a fun conversation piece, you know, if you don't mind getting stopped while wandering around, but it's kind of a fun piece of kit to have. So that's kind of the default camera for this bag. Additionally, in here, I have a water bottle. This is the Mimo bottle A6. This I talked about previously in the video for my like kind of travel / hiking setup. So a little bit redundant, but again, this is 16 ounce water bottle. The reason why I like this is that it is more flat. So again, slides really nicely into a bag like this without needing to take up a ton of space like a round water bottle might. It's also much shorter. So I find that the compact nature of this is really cool. The downside, as I talked about previously, is that again, this is not an insulated water bottle. So I really do not recommend putting in things like hot coffee or tea. This will get very, very hot and again, potentially damage other things within your bag depending on its proximity to it. Or really cold like ice water, again, will both be very cold, but also have a possibility of condensation around the bottle. And if it's right up next to like a camera, for example, that can cause issues. Now I have a divider between this and the camera, so I don't have a risk of that. But again, if I just want some water or if I'm going out for the day, then I'll toss it in here. Moving on, I have a little EDC pouch. So this is from RZE Watches. This is the Olympus carry pouch. This is a really cool kind of like organizer. In here, I've got a bunch of different things. I have a pen, I have a Leatherman multi-tool, I've got a Zippo lighter, I've got a little mini flashlight, I've got a lock pick. I do know how to pick locks, so that's kind of a fun, you know, party trick to bust out if you need. So I'm kind of slowly filling this up, but this is a really nice organizer just to have all of those things in there if I need. And then in the front here, I also just have a cable for a power bank that I've got in here, which I'll show in a moment, and also an Apple AirTag. So really nice, very compact organizer. Again, especially with like the water bottle, this just fits nice and flush up against there and frees up some space, but I know I have everything organized and well taken care of in there. The last thing that I have in the main compartment is again the weird item, and that is a first aid kit. So this is the MyFac Mini from MyMedic. I'm not going to go through the contents of this, that would be like a whole separate video, but I do have a med kit in here. The reason that I have this in here is I'm currently working on getting my EMT certification. So that is something that I've been working on for a while now, kind of in the background. I'm still going through classes and things like that. So I'm not an EMT yet, but again, I am looking to get both registered with the NREMT and get my licensure for North Carolina within the next half year or so. So I have a med kit in my bag as well, so that if I need to, I can hopefully respond very quickly and help someone out if they are in a pinch. So again, I'm not going to go through the contents of this. That might be a whole separate video if y'all are interested, but it's very much not photography related, so I doubt it. But again, that is something that is in my everyday carry bag. Additionally, again, so you can see here, I've got the 2 dividers in here. The dividers are fantastic because you can really customize these, so you can kind of flap these down. They really work well to create a lot of subdivided space within the bag. Again, the 10 liter I think works very well to have the 2 dividers in there. The 6 liter bag I think is a little too small, but works very well with just 1 divider in there. Again, you can kind of toss everything in here as I need. And that's kind of the setup, right? So up here also, I've got the zip compartment. So if I needed to have an extra battery for the camera, I toss that in here. I've just got a Sharpie in here right now because why not? But it's got these little things up here too, these little pouches. So again, if you are someone that likes to carry spare memory cards, that's a really great spot to put it in. I'll just have a cleaning cloth in here for my camera, which is again kind of the same setup on my Minimalist bag too, but nice little pouch up there. And then on the back, you also have this pouch kind of in the back here, and these close with magnets. And in here I've got, again, that notebook with a pen. So depending on what bag I'm using, I'll swap out that notebook or something, but more storage in the back there. In the front, you've got this zip pouch. And again, the power bank here, this NEU power bank, 10,000 milliamp battery pack. Again, for everyday carry, just keeping a cell phone charged if I need to, the cameras or whatever. This is really nice. It's small and compact with a really big charge. So that's kind of, again, just always in the bag. And then I've got the cable for that in that other little pouch, but some nice storage space there too. So I don't like having the bag like fully maxed out in terms of its contents. So again, if I need to, if I'm out at a store or something and I pick something up, I can still have a lot of space to put something in the bag so I don't have to carry it. But this is a really nice setup kind of for my daily use. Similar to the Minimalist setup, again, this one does come with these straps down at the bottom. So again, if you want to like attach like a jacket or something underneath here that does need to be inside the bag, you've got that. So again, straps are just kind of nice to have. And likewise, it does still have these straps on the side. So if I want to attach the Peak Design camera carry clip here, then I can do that. It's nice and sturdy, so that's not going anywhere. And then again, with the base plate on the camera, I can just attach that right on there and then carry the camera on the outside of the bag also. Being kind of silly to do that with like the Leica, but for either the X2D or the 907X, really easy spot to attach that to the outside of the bag if I needed the space in the bag or if I wanted quicker access to the camera. All right, so that is kind of a wrap on how I set up my bags for 2025. That's kind of the general equipment that I'm using depending on the situation that I'm in. Again, a couple notes is for all of these setups, if I'm shooting, you know, again, something that is more specific for photography, I'm going to be prioritizing the Hasselblad X2D. If I want to shoot film, I'm going to be bringing out the Hasselblad 500cm or one of my other film cameras, like the 35mm cameras. Either my Minolta or my Nikon are typically the ones that I go to. If you want to see a video on those film cameras, let me know. I might make that in the future. And again, the 907X, again, is great to have the digital back to be able to swap onto the 500cm if I want to, if I'm doing something kind of more specific with that in mind, or otherwise is a really nice compact camera, relatively compact camera to just kind of have in my bag as like an everyday carry. So these are the main cameras that I'm working with. Again, the 55V lens is kind of always attached to the X2D by default. Otherwise, I will get the 28p or the 90V lens are kind of my other go-tos. All three of those are prime lenses. The 45p, again on the 907X, prime lens. But in certain situations, I will get that 35 to 75 zoom lens for the X2D. I can't imagine putting that lens on the 907X. Where is that lens actually? Yeah, I can't imagine putting this zoom lens on this camera. I mean, we're gonna do it because now I want to see what that looks like. Oh God, I feel bad for the camera. You know what I mean? Like, this is just such a bulky lens for this camera body. Yeah, I would never, I don't think I would ever run this setup for any reason. But again, this is definitely my go-to lens if I'm traveling, if I don't know what conditions to expect, or if I know that I'm not going to be in a position to be able to physically move around as much to try to get the shots and the composition that I want. This kind of helps save me with that. But it is very big, it is very heavy, so I normally only use it for, like, again, international travel or on days that I don't really know what to expect. Otherwise, I tend to prioritize the prime lenses, particularly the 55V, because that's just my preferred focal length. Okay, so this was a long video. This was a lot of me talking. If you found this helpful or interesting at all, again, please consider giving this video a like. As I mentioned before, if you are interested in any of the gear that I kind of featured in this, I will have affiliate links with Amazon down in the description below. That is a great way to help support the channel, and if you wind up getting anything through there, again, really appreciate it. Thank you. No additional cost to you, but helps me out. Otherwise, if you don't feel like spending any money, totally get that. Please just consider subscribing if you're new here. That is the best way to help this channel out. I'm still kind of a new YouTuber and still growing the channel as much as I can. If you have any questions on anything, please let me know down in the comments below. This was really not intended to be like a review of anything. I just kind of wanted to show my general setup for kind of my various camera bags. And again, this is not sponsored in any way, even though certain brands do feature heavily. Just wanted to share with you the gear and the things that I typically use and what my setups look like going into 2025. All right, well, once again, thank you very much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.